So one of the things I wanted to do in the version 2 build of this spray booth is improve the exhaust system. I didn't have a really good exhaust system in version 1, which resulted in fumes accumulating in the house for a couple days. So what I've decided to do this time around is filter in 2 stages, with the first stage being to filter out the overspray, and then the second stage being to filter out the VOCs. So what I'm showing you here is after the second stage, where I have the duct that I've built that's going to carry the residual exhaust to the outside. And this duct is built out of corrugated plastic. So what I'm going to show you is exactly how I put it together. So I started with a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of corrugated plastic, and I cut that in half so I could make 2 boxes. What I'm doing right now is measuring out the sides, which are going to be 20.5 inches in width. The first side I actually made 22.5 inches, and that's so I'd have a 2-inch overlap and be able to connect or attach up the first side and the fourth side. So I'm just drawing a line for one of the sides here. And the next thing I'll do is I'm going to make a mark at the 13.5 inch mark from the edge of the plastic, and that's so that I can start to make the cone portion of the box. So I'll just make marks at 13.5 inches along each one of those lines I just drew. And the next thing I'm going to do is I have to cut out where I'm going to make the folds. So I'll start with a mark that is 6.25 inches from those lines that I drew for the edges of the box. Oh, here I'm actually drawing a mark at the 2-inch mark from the edge of the first side, and that's because I forgot to do that in the beginning. Because remember, I had a 2-inch overlap for the first side. And that's just so I remember where to fold it here. So I've drawn those marks there, and then I'll just connect the 2 marks with a line using the straight edge there. And the next thing I'll do is do the same thing where I'm making a mark at 6.25 inches from those long lines that represent the sides. So you'll kind of see, like I said, how this all takes shape, and it'll make more sense as we go along here. So I'm pointing out here that I'm going to be drawing more or less a triangle between the 13.5 inch mark that I made along that line and then the 6.25 inch mark that I made from that line. Now what I'm showing is I've gone to the opposite side of the line and made another 6.25 inch mark, so I can draw a second triangle. So I have a triangle on one side of the line and a triangle on the opposite side of the line. And I'll just repeat this all the way down the box. It's basically the same thing on all sides. And I'll just go ahead and connect up those marks just like I did with the first side. And as you notice there, I have some squiggly marks in that first triangle, and that represents where I'll be actually cutting out the triangle. So I just showed the 2 box knives I'll be using, or utility knives. One has a short blade, the other one has a long blade. The long blade will be used to cut out the triangle, and then the short blade will be used to make score marks along all the lines that I've drawn. And that's so I can make some folds. So I'm going ahead here and cutting out this one triangle. So I'm cutting all the way through the corrugated plastic with that long blade. So I'll go ahead and remove that triangle there. And then I forgot that I also need to draw lines and score along those lines for where the cone starts to take shape at the end of the box there. So I'll have to fold along those lines too. What I'm going to do now is I've taken the knife and I've scored along all the lines, and I'm just taking a heat gun and heating up each one of those lines. I'm trying to protect the plastic by using that 2x4 there, and that'll also help to fold the box there, or fold the various sides. So I fold it up using the 2x4 as leverage there, so I can create a nice crease. And then I hold it for a few seconds. I'll take some duct tape. Now you can kind of see where I've got the box all folded up, and I'm starting to attach the first side and the fourth side together using duct tape. I'll just continue to add some duct tape to reinforce it there. I don't actually add a whole lot of duct tape in the beginning, but I will later on add a bunch of duct tape to make this nice and solid. So I add some duct tape to the inside there, and a little more to the outside. Now what I'm going to do is start to make the conical shape there, and so that means, as you see there, I'm folding. I've taken the folded side and attached it to the one side of the box. I'll just continue this all the way around. Now that I've got those sides all attached and I've got my cone made, the next thing I'm doing now is attaching tape to the inside. And I'll just repeat this all the way around the box to reinforce it. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to be attaching a duct to the center of that conical opening. So what I want to do is make something that I can slip from into the inside of that box, and then I can attach a duct adapter to that. So you'll kind of see how this takes shape here. And I had to do a little bit of trial and error with this process, because fitting a piece of plastic inside of an existing corrugated box that I just made, it was a little challenging. What I'm doing here is basically a non-scientific method of cutting so I can fold that piece right there inside the box. So I'm cutting along the edges so I can go ahead and fold this up. So you can kind of see I'm folding that there. So now that I've got that folded, what I'm doing next is cutting out the circular opening. That's a 6-inch opening for the duct adapter that I'm going to be attaching. So I go ahead and remove that piece there. And I'm just demonstrating the duct adapter that I'm going to be using. It's a galvanized duct adapter. And like I said, I'll tuck it from the inside. I probably could have put it on the outside, but it seemed like it held better when I tucked it from the inside. Like I said, I did have a little bit of trial and error with the fit. I probably should have cut it a little bit smaller, but it worked out okay in the end, I believe. It's just temporary anyway. I'm not going to worry about making this look pretty. So I'm just attaching this piece to the box using duct tape. And then I'll go back later and add a lot more duct tape to make it nice and solid. So now that I've got the duct tape on the outside, I'll add duct tape on the inside here. And again, this is just temporary. I'm going to add a ton more duct tape later to make it nice and secure and solid. And also making sure that no air gets past the openings. So I'm just saying, yeah, it's okay. So that'll fit on like that. And I'm using aluminum flexible duct to exhaust to the outside. I decided to build a couple frames out of 1/4-inch by 4-inch poplar. And these are going to house the filters on the exhaust side of the booth. And all I did to attach the sides together was use brad nails. So I'm fitting these paint arrestor filters that I used in the version 1 build of the spray booth. And then additionally, I bought these paint pockets, which are professional spray booth filters that claim to filter out about 99% of the overspray. And the styrofoam filters I'm just using as backing for these paint pockets. So I'll friction fit these in here, see how it fits. So now that I have the frames built, I'm trying to decide on an installation method. As you see on the right hand side, I have 4 braces across the frames there. And then on the other side, on the left, I have the braces on the back side holding the paint arrestor filters in. So I was trying to decide exactly how I want to do this. So I decided to go with the method on the left-hand side so I don't restrict the airflow through the paint pockets. And additionally, later on, I also added one brace across the center there to keep the paint pockets from falling out. Okay, so what I'm working on right now is finishing up the exhaust system. So if you remember, I created a couple frames and I've installed those in the booth right there using duct tape. And then I've taken some corrugated plastic and wrapped those frames with the corrugated plastic to create a first stage duct. And if you see over there, I've got the second stage is what I'm working on next. And that entails installing those black activated carbon charcoal filters. Those are professional spray booth filters that filter out the VOCs. And I got those pretty cheaply on eBay. I used the best offer option on eBay and got those for, I think it was $31 for a 12-pack. So that was a great deal. And so there's the activated carbon charcoal filter, then that's followed by the box fan, and then the box fan will push the residual air to the outside. And I've had to do a little bit of fabrication here, so to speak, with the seal between the box fan and that duct. That's because the box fan, of course, has rounded corners, whereas the duct has square corners. I could have cut those ducts to fit the box fans, but I decided not to do that. I'm just using some 6mm plastic to finish off the attachment there. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on. I'm just going to go next here. What I'm going to do is attach, I'm working on this first one over here. I'm going to attach that to this ductwork here, and I'll finish up the rest of the exhaust. Okay, so it's not the prettiest looking thing in the world, but I've got the exhaust system all finished here, and I've attached the flexible hose that leads to the outside. I'm extending it probably about 2 feet past the door there, and the air that's coming through here should be fresh air by the time it hits that flexible duct anyway. So I've got the booth turned on, and as you can see, the plastic is being drawn inward. It's probably not as good airflow as I'd like, but I think it'll be okay for today.